Hello everyone. In today's video, we're going to talk about closing 5-figure deals, how you can and why you should as well, and what sort of tools in your tool belt you need to do it. Just out on a walk at the moment around a race course. I've got my girlfriend's headphones in, they're not quite my colour. I've stolen them from her because she went out earlier. And some guy whistled at me earlier because they're like this weird light blue, kind of like greeny colour, and they're a bit girly, but you know what, who cares, right? So it's a pretty nice day today, and I'm going to take you on a little bit of a journey with me while I try and help you close higher deals. So one of the biggest things that people forget in today's modern world that's infiltrated with technology, and people are constantly looking for shortcuts, people's attention spans are so low nowadays, is actually real life communication skills. I know, shocking, right? Shocking that people forget something as simple as that. But it's the truth. And, you know, when people usually reach out to me for assistance with like their business, usually they're looking for some sort of tactic. Rob, what's the best message I could send? What's the best email software? And I'm like, to get what end, right? You know, like Stephen Covey in his book, 7 Habits of the Highly Effective People, he talks about basically, so always start with the end in mind. So you should always ask yourself, like, what is the end that I'm trying to achieve? And the end they're trying to achieve is trying to basically get some more revenue for the business, right? And instead of looking at tactics, they spend far too much time searching through these technologies, searching through, you know, different shortcuts. I need to shortcut because all they do all day is watch TikTok and YouTube. And what happens on TikTok and YouTube is a load of people basically will constantly be in your face saying it's never been easier to make money using this 3 simple step method. It's all BS, right? So communication skills, in-person skills. Now this video is going to be pretty hard for people who are introverts to actually handle, right? But it doesn't matter if you're an introvert, doesn't matter if you're an extrovert, you're gonna have to learn some communication skills, right? So I was eating in a restaurant last month, and it's a really nice restaurant, you know, great food. And at the end, I was speaking to the manager, like the guy who runs the place, right? And he said to me that, you know, he's been trying to grow the restaurant, and what with everything that's went on in the last 2 years, it's been like pretty damn difficult. So I was telling him a little bit about what I do, that I consult for sales and marketing businesses, and all I did in that meeting was just point out a few things that he could improve on in his online game, right? His social media. And instantly, like that, the guy was interested. He was like, oh, why don't you take a look at mine? Like, why don't you take a look at mine in more detail? And, you know, maybe we can sit down and have a chat about it, because I'm looking for someone like you at the moment, right? So that's just one person. And it came because I'm open to have conversation. The amount of people these days who are just not that social, right? I used to do a phone job, and sometimes you get a very chatty person on the phone who's like the other end of the phone. And sometimes, even if the person who I was speaking to worked in sales, they'd be super monotonous, not interested in anything. I'm not trying to sell them anything, right? And they just basically not attempt to like build up rapport at all. They'd be either one-word answers or just very monotone like this. And straight away, you know, I wouldn't want to, you know, not be associated with this person, but I instantly think to myself, is this person very fun? No. Are they going to be very helpful for me, or, you know, help me at some point? No. So are they of value to me? Not really. And that's just kind of how like the world works. But if you can be a social person, a person who can start conversations with multiple people, you'll be able to actually stand out from the crowd in this busy online world that we're currently in at the moment. This online world where everyone is looking for the shortcut, looking for the perfect message to actually build up their business, to actually have a sit down with someone and, you know, calmly find out, you know, what problems their business has got in a very casual manner over a, you know, a normal conversation. So another little story. I went to, we like, me and my fiance, we support like local businesses and things. So, you know, occasionally rather than ordering food from like Tesco or Asda, we'll go to the city centre and we'll go to like local markets and we'll get like the meats from there. We'll get like, I don't know, whatever we need. We try and get it like kind of locally rather than from like big brand names, because everyone needs a, you know, it's good to support, I think, your local business as well. Generally the food's better as well. We went to this cheese shop and we're speaking to this the guy over the counter, and he was like recommending all these cheeses. He was like so knowledgeable. He was like, oh, this cheese comes from this part of the country, you know, it's great with these types of food. Like, he knew everything about cheese, and he was like this cheery guy. And what happened was he started to, because this is like a 15-minute long conversation in like a cheese shop, because there's just no other customers in there. He was telling us like how busy his weeks are. We were asking like how's business going, and he was telling us that he's moved from like one place to another, and now because the place he's moved to, which is smaller, it has a problem actually fitting customers inside the shop when it gets to busy periods. And he could get a bigger space, but it's going to be very expensive. So straight away I was talking to him. I was saying, listen, you know, let's have a look at your website right now. And have you ever considered click and collect, right? Something which I can figure out for him. And he was like, no, I haven't ever considered click and collect. You know where like you place your order online and you select like a time slot and the customers arrive all orderly at those particular times? I was like, this is the same way to easily make good like revenue for your business whilst also easing the friction of having other people in your shop. And he was like, I've never even considered this. And so, you know, we're going through some talks now, and this potentially is going to be, you know, when it comes down to it, probably considering the lifetime value, probably like a 5-figure deal, right? And all it came from was the start of a conversation, just having a casual conversation with people. Granted, I'm an extrovert, so I look for conversations with people. I never enter a conversation thinking, what can I do for this person? Instead, I think to myself, I just want to get to know people, right? And the funny thing is this guy who runs this cheese shop said he probably gets about 20 to 30 pitches a week to help him with similar things on his email. But he doesn't listen to any of them. Instead, he listened to me. We got some boys over there doing Muay Thai. If you see, just in the distance, kicking hell out of each other. Muay Thai is a great sport, man. Any guys that follow my channel, you should do Muay Thai. You should do some form of combat sports, because it helps with your confidence. I was a very underconfident kid, and you know, I did karate. I think I got to like a purple or brown belt in karate as a kid, which, you know, is nothing to shout from the roofs about when you're a kid. But I did freestyle kickboxing as well, and then I moved into boxing, and then I moved into MMA, then I moved into Muay Thai, and I did all these different sports. And each time, you know, you do these sports, it's very good, like for your confidence, right? Because you just think to yourself, if you can kind of get like punched in the face or learn to fight, it gives you this huge like sort of self-esteem boost, knowing that if ever shit went down, you'd be okay, or at least, you know, you'd do a lot better than most other people. So anyway, that was a side tangent. But so this guy basically had 20 to 30 emails per week, right? From people who were pitching him a similar service to me. Now, he ignored them all, right? Because everyone's trying the same damn tactics, man. There's this amazing, I recommend everyone read it, but I'll give you the too long didn't read version of it right now. It's called the Blue Ocean Strategy. I can't remember who it's by. And what the Blue Ocean Strategy is essentially, it's a business and marketing principle. And if you're a fisherman and you're fishing in a red ocean, if you're a fisherman and you are, trying to get fish, and what do? First things first, what you do is you look at where everyone else is fishing, and then you go and fish where all the other fishermen are fishing. That's what the typical person does. And what happens is the ocean turns very, very red, and the reason why it turns very red is because essentially people are all fishing in the same area. So the ocean is blood red because there's too many fish getting killed or getting eaten or whatever in this area, and there's no fish anymore in that area. Instead, what you should do is look for the blue ocean, the ocean where everyone else isn't fishing. And in 2022, when everyone is online, everyone is trying to find the shortcut. Everyone wants to be a famous YouTube celebrity, TikToker. Instead, what they should do is look at what the general crowds are doing and do the opposite. It's such a silly and easy concept, right? But most people do not think like this. They don't look at the whole chessboard. Instead, I run a business on LinkedIn. I run a few different types of businesses actually, but that's one of them. And all people do on LinkedIn, everyone's general strategy is to copy the top influencers there. And what the top influencers do is they already have an established audience, they just create content, and they just have a product on the back end. And everyone from the reads the content because they've already got a big reach, and they just come and buy the product. Now, what people do is they just copy that strategy, like 99% of people. And it's a silly, silly strategy because it only works for a select few. And when everyone is trying that strategy, guess what happens? It's a red ocean. It's so silly. People just people make the most basic mistakes. They just take a step back from things. This is generally everything in life as well. Just take a step back from things and just think about it. I was speaking to this actress, she's an up and coming actress, and she's like, yeah, I'm gonna go and move to LA. And I was like, why are you going to move to LA? She was like, that's where all the other producers are. And I was like, well, what does everyone else do? All the other young actresses who want to make it? Well, they all move to LA. And I was like, so how are you going to stand out? Because you've got to either get incredibly lucky or you've got to be phenomenal. But even if you are phenomenal, doesn't mean that you're going to get lucky as well and get picked up by these producers or film directors. And it's such a red ocean. People just compete in the reddest of oceans, right? So think about, at the moment, if the strategies that you are currently employing are red. They probably are, let's be honest, because most people are. Most people think they're doing something unique and they're not at all. So this guy is now basically interested in what I'm selling. The reason why is because I've just done something unique, which is just hold a basic conversation with a person, which isn't that unique really when you think about it, except the rest of the world is just not doing this. So speaking to this other CEO, he runs a $60 million, around about there, company, and he wants to get it to 9 figures. He wants to get it to 100 million. And he's got all these strategies that he wants to do. And I was just speaking to him about it. It was just a casual conversation. It wasn't even about this. I was actually asking him for his, he's a really good public speaker. And I was asking his insights into how he's such a good public speaker and how he could speak so fluently and just pull these stories out of the hat all the time, and how they're so compelling and all this. So he gave me a bit of advice on that. But he was saying that he's trying to get his company from 60 million to 100 million. And so I shot him an email afterwards, after I'd already met him, and said, hey, we spoke the other week, you gave me a bit of advice on blah, blah, blah. Here's a few ideas to help you get from 60 to 100 million. I see you're doing A, B, and C wrong. And this wasn't even a pitch. I'm just a chatty person. I just sent this to him. Suddenly, he's put me in, contact with with one of his directors, right? Which are they run the marketing department. And now they're speaking to me, all right? This organization's got over 1,000 employees, and it's got hundreds of people in the marketing department, yet none of them have done the same approach that I've done, which is just a casual conversation. People are too pitchy in this day and age. They either want to just pitch your services, which put you off, and it feels like they don't care about you when they do it. Right. So you do want to get an answer out of people as quick as possible, particularly if you're running out of money. But at the same time, you have to understand that some of the bigger deals, some of the big fish in the ocean, they're basically, they're going to require a bit of follow-up, right? Multi-5-figure deals are going to require some follow-up. So you don't want to just pitch right away, because you're just going to put the person off and it's not going to work anyway. You might feel productive. There's this whole thing, isn't there, busyness versus productivity. Sometimes, you could be feeling really productive, but you're only feeling productive because you're keeping yourself busy. But if you actually look at if you are moving the needle forward, the needle is not being moved forward very much at all, to be honest with you. So start considering some of these things. And there is a general trend in the world as well, that everything's a bit of a seesaw balance, right? So if, the blue ocean is speaking to people and just communicating with them in person, that'll only last for a few years before the blue ocean becomes, doing everything online and doing everything automated. And there's been a significant shift over the last few years as well. When I first started my business on LinkedIn, it's very easy to get leads. You could just set up some automated software. You could just send the same pitch out to most people, and they would basically just respond, right? Pretty positive, right? But then that became a red ocean because other competitors entered the market. This is stuff which is probably a bit too complicated for YouTube. I had a meeting with one of my mentors a little while ago, and they run a 9-figure company, a few 9-figure companies actually. And I was like, damn man, some of my YouTube traction isn't going very well. And they were like, you know why, Rob? I was like, why? They were like, because you're speaking on too complicated subjects. The stuff you're saying to people is not very watchable. They were like, it's watchable for a few good people, not good people, sorry, a few specific people who are very interested in what you've got to say in this area, but it's not appealing to mass market. They were like, so why are you starting at the bottom of the funnel rather than the top of the funnel? And I was like, yeah. And then I went and watched some of my stuff, and I went and watched some of other people's stuff on YouTube, some other people who have constantly got big numbers all over the thumbnails, talking about $1 million and all this stuff. And then when I listened to the video, I was like 90% of these people are breaking it down into very, very simplistic terms, and they're just saying things which isn't actually, in my opinion, is not actually that helpful, but it's appealing to the mass market. So I was watching this video on this is how you make $1 million. Oh no, it wasn't that. It was this is how you profit in a recession. And basically, the 3 subjects were save more, earn more money, and this is the 3 points basically out of this 15-minute video. Save more, earn more money, and then buy in the dip. Keep cash around. Well, they kept it in such a simple way, and I was like, damn, that's freaking basic advice. Everyone knows this. But what I think and what actually works sometimes, that worked. That got millions of views, or hundreds and hundreds of thousands, and everyone was like, oh my god, this is so great advice. And I was like, is it? I thought it was obvious, but maybe But I think basically I'm speaking on too much of an advanced level to actually gauge people. And this is going to be an advanced video for, you know, some people as well. Some people aren't going to be able to listen to this, like, mainly because of attention spans, honestly. In friggin' 2022, man, the attention spans of people is so bad, right? And I think it's largely been destroyed because of social media, honestly. So we got like MySpace first, but it didn't really have like scrolling type of news feeds. You just pretty much had access to only, you know, some people's friggin', you know, whoever your friends were, that you could access their pages, but it never really changed like what, like your attention span that much. Then you got Facebook, which is more of a scrolling one. That was kind of the first big one. Then you had Instagram, where, you know, people were making the most aesthetically pleasing images, the highlight reel, you know, photoshopping themselves a little bit as well. And that shortened people's attention spans because it changed people's perception of what the world should look like. And then you had, you know, YouTube, TikTok as well. And then what happened was TikTok with their videos, which they rewarded as, you know, the shortest, most interesting clip that you could fit into sort of 10 seconds. Most people's brains are, if they're watching that stuff, I watch it too sometimes, you know, it's very addictive. But, you know, you watch that too long, your brain will be in a blender by the end of it. You know, you will not be able to concentrate on things and not really, you know, be able to step away and actually get some serious work done and actually start planning things. And it's so weird, right? I have to keep TikTok on my phone because I'm training a person to upload videos to TikTok at the moment and, you know, make sure they're all right and everything, like my videos, which I'm also doing on there. But I try not to be a consumer. I try to be more of a producer. But sometimes, man, that algorithm gets me. It gets me and it sinks like 20 minutes like that. And then afterwards, I'm trying to do work. And all I can think about is just like, I must scroll to the next video. So be careful of these. They have got whole teams of scientists desperately trying to program it in the most rewarding way that keeps the human brain going. And this is not like a conspiracy. This is real. They hire some of the smartest people in the world who understand psychology, understand human behavior. And they do this so they can keep you addicted to these apps. People get confused, you know. I see a lot of stuff in the manosphere at the moment, like they are trying to weaken men. They are trying to, you know, do all this. And I'm just like, crikey, mate, like, put down the crack pipe for a minute, okay? Take off your tinfoil hat. Not everything in the world's a fucking conspiracy, right? All they're doing is just trying to maximize revenue because it keeps you on there and keeps you, you know, trying to... It keeps you addicted because they get more revenue. The more time you're on there, the more likely you're going to see adverts, and the more likely you see adverts, the more likely you're going to click on them, right? So they're doing it to maximize revenue. But there's so many thick people out there at the moment who, content creators, are like, they're trying to weaken men and their willpower. Well, yeah, that's a byproduct of getting addicted and hooked into these platforms, but it's not actually like the main reason, right? You've not got some covert operation where it's like will weakening of men Operation Thunderstorm or something like this. I'm just like, some of this stuff's so stupid. You just got to be careful who you listen to at the moment. Right, a lot of it's like bro science and that. And you know, there's other good point. There's sometimes these guys, they do spit facts, and you know, there's a lot of good content out there. But like anything in small doses, you've got to budget yourself in this day and age. Right. And you know, you've got to actually fill your brain with some pretty damn good knowledge, and people who've been there and done that as well, right? That's key. So I paid a lot of money for this. I'm in Tyler Lopez's mastermind. Ty does multiple nine. I don't know quite what he does, but he does. I know for a fact he bought 2 businesses, maybe 18 months ago, 2 years ago. And they already do over 200 million a year, just those two businesses, right? And then you keep in mind just how long he's been around the game, and just how prolific he was of a marketer when he kicked off the whole online thing. He pretty much kicked off the whole online thing. And he's made hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions. So that's why I'm in his mastermind, because there's a bunch of people out there who don't really know an awful lot about the world, but they're giving advice, which is the beauty of social media, right? The beauty of social media is anyone can have a voice, which is an amazing thing, right? Think about it. Years ago, we didn't have that. But the problem is with this is anyone can have a voice. And when anyone can have a voice, you get some bad advice that's popular. It gets spread throughout the masses like this, because the masses don't know any different, because they're not educated enough. That might have been their first experience in this. So Ty brings like multi-millionaire friends. He's got one of his business partners is Dr. Alex Mayer, and Dr. Alex Mayer was the founder of the dating website. Do you remember a dating website called Zoosk? It was like one of the original giant apps, and he built that into a friggin' giant, right? I think he was doing like $1 billion a year. No, $1 billion in revenue. He did in total like $200-300 million a year in revenue, but $1 billion in total or something. Then he sold his share a few years ago for 2019 or something, for like a good few hundred million, like 300 million or something. Why am I telling you that? Right, because these guys know business, right? They know how to walk into rooms and negotiate with people. They know human psychology. They have very successful lives and that. All right, so guess what? I want to take advice from them, because they've been there and done that. I don't want to be taking advice from people who might seem like they're right, but they have really no perspective in what's actually right, okay? So you just got to watch what you say at the moment. No, sorry, not watch what you say, not at all. Watch what you listen to, and filter the information out, because some of the information is good, that's out there. Some of the information is not so good, right? But almost that's a little bit worse when some of the information is actually good, and then some of the information is not good. Because if 90% of the information is good and then 10% of the information is bad, what happens? Well, the people who hear the 90% that's good and they agree with, and it's a message they can agree with, they just assume all of it's 100% right. So what happens then, if you think of it like a chessboard, they end up making mistakes on the 10% which matters. So just be very careful who you listen to, and what information you take. I recommend everyone should educate themselves on human psychology. Everyone should educate themselves on history, because history's already happened, and everything that's happened in history ends up being a pattern in the future as well. I'll say that again, because it's so important. Everything that's happened in history ends up happening again in the future. But if you know it's already happened in history, then you can pretty much predict your outcome in the future. It's a bit windy now, actually. I wonder if you guys can actually hear me on this recording. Hopefully I've not just recorded for 30 minutes and it's been a complete fucking waste of time. But such is life, if so. So, Great Books is an amazing book. Everyone should start with this. It's a friggin' hard book to get your head around, but it's called The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. Robert Greene is one of the best authors who understands human behaviour, understands history as well. At some stage I want to get this guy on my channel. He understands human behaviour like absolutely nobody else. And what he does is he writes these books and makes an argument, basically. He writes his books and he says things like, you need to watch out for people who are Machiavellian, you need to watch out for people who are narcissists. These are the times in history where people have had these traits and they've been very dangerous for other people, right? So, educate yourself on this, man, right? I've got some people who follow Grant Cardone on my channel. What do you think about, regardless what you think about Grant Cardone, like, he understands psychology. Regardless of what you think about Tai Lopez, he understands psychology. Regardless of what you think about Alex Hormozy, he understands psychology. They all understand psychology, right? And they understand history as well, because understanding history helps you predict psychology, because it's all just, everything's created by human behavior, right? God, this is a deep video. No one's going to watch this. I actually created, I'm trying to cover up my microphone, this way I'm a bit close to the camera. I actually created these videos of me going out and starting to build up a business from complete scratch. And I did it because I thought it's what people wanted to see. And then what happened actually was, when I uploaded them, I was like, this is good. I was like, I'm literally putting my money where my mouth is. I'm starting a brand new business from complete scratch. And what happens when you start a business from complete scratch is I'm going to document my failures, I'm going to document my wins, and I'm going to show people that they can actually do it as well. I'm not just going to be like 99.999% of content creators who are just content creators and not business people, who basically, just talk about theories and, on paper and all this crap, right? I'm actually going to go out there and actually going to show people. And the watch time on these videos was so bad, right? People just were clicking into them, but just absolutely not watching it. They didn't want to really see that. It's probably a bit of my fault as well. Maybe I could have spent a bit of time, editing them all, maybe introducing them a little bit better. But like, there was real knowledge, and I only did 2 episodes. I actually filmed 3, but I only did 2, actually, publicly. And basically, like in the first episode, I just completely lost. I went out there trying to pitch business owners from scratch, and I just got frigging rejected again and again and again. I had this woman, I cold called this woman, and she said to me, she was like, I cold called her, and she was like, I was like, I was basically talking about offering to do a social media, right? And I said to her, I was like, I'm literally like a few miles away from you. I can drive down to meet you. I can't remember what I said anyway. She was so rude on the phone. I was just like, she was like, no, I don't do any social media because I'm too busy. And I was like, so you've already, she basically said she didn't have any customers either. So I was like, so what are you busy doing? That's what I wanted to say, I didn't say it. But yeah, it's quite funny. That was in like the 3rd episode, but I never released that. But like by the 2nd episode, I was pretty much winning. I was still getting failures, but I was getting some solid meetings booked and things like that. But I thought, you know what, I'm just scrap this project because no one's actually watching anyway. But it's probably something to do with attention spans as well. Maybe my editing, maybe like attention spans. But my point is that you just got to watch really who you follow, and the psychology of what people say and things like this, because at the end of the day, take some good advice, leave the bad advice. Take what you think works for you, leave the bad advice, right? And I'm almost done with my walk now. I try and get myself out pretty much every single day, whether I come out with my girlfriend or whether I come out with, friends or just on my own like this. And the reason why I do is because I'm cutting weight at the moment. It's built up a lot of muscle. For you guys out there, you have to understand that you need to build up muscle, cut the fat, build up muscle and cut the fat. And the reason why is telomeres, as you age, here's some detailed advice for you that you didn't ask for, I'm going to give it you anyway. As you age, your telomeres shorten. And it's what causes the aging effects. This is very basic stuff. There's a bit more to it than this, but I'm just going to give it to you. And one of the only things which has been proved to actually lengthen telomeres, therefore reduce aging, is weight training. So for guys particularly, because we have more muscle on us than women, you want to be weight training, you want to be doing things which build up muscle, eating right and all that stuff, because it'll lengthen your telomeres. And also when you keep your when you actually build up muscle and that, it also helps your testosterone levels as well, because our testosterone levels start dropping off as soon as we hit they actually peak at about 18, 19, 20, and then from there they're on a gradual decline. But then when you get to 30, your testosterone starts to decline decline a little bit more steadily. And then when you're in your 40s, that's where it's like starts to really hit. But if you just manage to work out, put on muscle via bulking, eating a surplus, making sure you're getting the right amount of protein, and then what you do, because you also put on fat as well at that point, you cut the fat, and you cut it by reducing your calories, keeping your protein high while still working out and still exercising. But I'm right at the end of a cut now. My cut's been about 10 weeks, so I need to be constantly moving and constantly out here trying to, you know, basically cut the final bit of weight, because what happens is your weight loss actually slows down the further time goes on, and when it slows down then you don't really lose anything, so you have to add in the extra bit of cardio because you can't put your calories too low. Anyway, long way of saying, if you're a guy and a girl, you should really be putting on muscle, but it's more important for guys, right? Prevents a lot of diseases later on in life as well. So be proactive with these things, follow good nutrition plans, eat good food, work out and exercise. The amount of entrepreneurs I know who are friggin', you know, they're a lot of money, but they're sick because all they do is they just live a friggin' unhealthy life, which is kind of sad, man. You gotta have a bit of a balanced life. You need good friends, good social groups to support you. You need your coalition, right? You need your, Ty calls it a board of advisors. And it's just basically, you know, a group of people who can direct you when you're going wrong, also a group of people who are like your peers and on your peer level. And then, you know, the world is built with socializing and alliances. So you need to make sure you can socialize and you have alliances as well. And then you'll do a lot better in life, but also, you know, your health. You need to get your money straight, and then you'll be a lot happier once you get these things sorted. All right, I'm gonna go now. It's getting a bit windy. Hopefully this part of the recording isn't absolutely destroyed. If it is destroyed, just try and listen to what I'm saying, yeah? Don't friggin' fall into the pit of thinking you know it all, and don't friggin' fall into the pit of, you know, listening to people who are gonna mislead you. I'm not saying I know everything, by the way. What I am saying is that I know a little bit of something, and pretty much the knowledge that I give to you guys and the things I repeat to you guys, the concepts, the theories, what you see me doing in practice, it's based on people who are way smarter than me, achieved way more than me. So, you know, there's something in that. So I hope you enjoyed this video today, this 37 minute video. Hopefully the recording's okay. Take care, see you soon.